Are we live? Hello, people. Today we're going to go over Pluto opposite Mars and what this aspect means in the transits and what it means for your sun, moon, and rising. So, welcome to anyone who's new to the channel. Welcome to everyone coming back. You guys know I try to keep it real here, but also, I want to tell you about the things that matter. We want to work with the energies. We want to make the most out of our chart. If that sounds like you, you're on the right channel. And, if you're a little bit over some of the other BS on spiritual channels that give you this like really general positivity that doesn't have that oomph, then you're also in the right place. Okay. So, we are here. We have audio, we have video, and the chart is up, and I am ready to talk about Mars and Pluto. So, this aspect goes exact on Friday, April 25th, 2025. But it's kind of like a small chapter of a bigger story that started like the end of November because it's very connected to the Mars retrograde cycle. Pluto was already opposite Mars when it was retrograding. That was around end of November-ish. December 6th is when, actually no, before it went retrograde. December 6th it went retrograde. Now it is coming back to this opposition before it finally comes out of shadow on May 1st. Okay, so it means we're dealing with this story, this Mars and Leo, Mars and Cancer story of how are we looking at ways that we can have more confidence and we can move forward with a little more gusto, because that's, to me, Mars and Leo has gusto, right? It's like, it has bravado. It wants to perform. It wants to like give you a show, so to speak. And so that doesn't mean we're all going to go into show business, but we're going to find that, the courage within ourselves, the feeling of, are we proud of ourselves? And maybe since December or November, we've been wrestling with some area of life. Are we proud of ourselves in this area of life? Can we confidently go after what we want with gusto? And maybe some of the things that have been stopping us from confidently going after what we want with gusto have been more in our face since November, December. But this opposition is going to kind of put the squeeze on us a little bit. Okay, it'll put the squeeze on us. It'll give us some pressure. And with pressure, we can do a lot, especially when that pressure has the two planets involved named Mars and Pluto. Why? Because Mars and Pluto actually, like people who have this natally a Mars-Pluto aspect will do better when their back is against the wall. They will thrive under pressure. And it doesn't mean they like being rushed or anything like that, but there's something about having your back against the wall that forces you to see what you're made of. So instead of looking at this Mars Pluto, when I'm saying like, you can feel squeezed into a corner, you can feel squeezed into a situation where you're like, the only way out is through, and it's like you kind of have to go through the eye of the needle, so to speak, to just kind of embrace the pressure even more. Like, okay, I'm in a pressure cooker, let's just turn it up and ramp it up all the way and see, how we end up on the other side. So Mars Pluto is kind of about facing our inner demons, facing our fears. It can be about so many things, but some of the keywords are like intensified anger, intensified passion. But Pluto can also bury. So it's like, that's why I called this video Smoldering Desire, because it's like Mars is our desire. Pluto buries, it intensifies, it makes it more. So people with Mars and Pluto in their natal, they're gonna have really intense desires. It doesn't mean they're supposed to only get what they want or anything like that, but oftentimes people with Mars Pluto can't just half-ass things. You have to whole ass it. When you have Mars Pluto, you have to whole ass it. So where are we collectively experiencing this? Where you are just completely over something you've been half-assing. And you're like, I don't even like this. I'm just going through the motions because I haven't figured out the better thing yet. Where are you half-assing when it comes to the things you really want? Hold on, I got to check my volume. I thought it sounded like I messed up there. Let's see. Okay, I think it's okay, but if anyone's watching the live and you want to tell me if the volume messes up, please let me know. Okay, so where are we half-assing the things we really want? And that's the thing. This is the deep spiritual lesson of Mars Pluto I'm going to give you right now. I'm going to give it to you straight. Are you a whole-assing the things you really want? And are you half-assing the things you really want? Where are you half-assing and where are you all in? And maybe not all of us are sitting here half-assing everything. But the point is, where are we putting our energy? Where are we putting our deep desire and our focus and our manifesting and our visualizing and our energy of what we want to happen? Are we doing any kind of avoidance that might be like, oh, this is getting difficult, let me go over here now? Are we doing something we totally hate because the thing we want to do, we don't know how to overcome a challenge? And that challenge that maybe really got in our face around December-ish, even into January. This is not about going, oh, things are getting hard, I better pull back. This is one of the things spiritual seekers, God love our souls, but we do this all the time where we interpret challenge as a sign from the universe that it's not meant to be. When Mars and Pluto are in aspect, that challenge is not there to tell you, oh, this thing isn't meant to be. Sometimes the challenge is there because I don't know exactly why, but it's kind of like, okay, you want to be this person you say you want to be? Here's the final test to see if you can pass through this challenge. It's an initiation. The challenge isn't there so you can try to go around. The challenge is there to see if you've got what it takes to make it through the obstacle, to be the person that can handle the thing that you want, the goal you're trying to accomplish. Okay, so where are we putting our energy? And is it on the things we really want? Mars and Pluto in aspect will remind us, because we'll realize how much we absolutely hate the stuff we don't want, or the mediocre stuff that's just not doing it. We're really going to feel bored of those things right now. And then the things that we really want might require us to kind of go through an initiation, go through a new level, go through, become a new version of ourselves, however you want to say it. It's like life might be requiring more from you, and don't think that means, oh, this is a sign to stop. Now, if you're in a bad situation, I'm not talking about you. If you are in a very, very difficult situation right now, I am not talking about you. If you are in an abusive situation, I am not talking about you. I'm talking about people who know they want something deep within their soul. They know it's the right thing. They know it's the right path. And there's an obstacle ahead that they're not sure they can overcome, or they don't know what they need to do to actually do it. You sound good. We hear you. Hello. Hey, good job. Thank you, everybody, for those comments. Okay, so now we're going to talk about this aspect through the signs and what it might mean for you. And if you're feeling this one, I just got to be real with you. I am too. I'm feeling it. I don't know what's going to happen. I hope that I can pass through that eye of the needle and do what I just told you guys to do. All right. So we're going to go through for each sign of the zodiac, starting with Aries, going to Pisces. And I'm going to put these little, let's change the color and make it prettier. I'm going to put these little captions here. As you can see on the bottom left of the screen, it says Aries now. And I'll do that for all the signs. And just know that sometimes I miss one. And when that happens, it's going to have the wrong sign on it. So just bear with me. I try to avoid that, but it happens occasionally. So for those of you who are maybe watching after the live, you can find... There's two ways you can find your sign. One is I put it there in the caption. And also, if you know the symbols, Right now it's Aries. You see where Aries is on the left side of the chart here? And that is the place where the rising sign is going to be for the planet, for the sign that I'm reading. So when it's Aries, Aries will be here. When it's Taurus, the chart moves and Taurus is here as well. So just to tell you how I do it, that's how I do it. Other things to know. I do have private readings available. You can book that using the link in the description, and courses as well. So check out my website for that. Okay, so we're gonna go on to the. You can also watch this. What I wanted to say. You can also watch for your sun, moon, and rising. If you don't know your rising, you don't know what time you were born, watch for your sun and your moon sign. Keep in mind, some of these resonate differently, and it depends on a bunch of stuff. So what I do when I'm watching these myself, I watch them all. I watch all three because they're general too. Remember, they're general. All right, let's get into it. Aries, sun, moon, and rising. What's happening with this Mars-Pluto opposition? Well, for you, Mars in the fifth is kind of like your desire to have fun, right? So your desire to have fun and like express yourself, be creative, have your own business. Mars has been there going slow, being like, meh, we want to have fun, but there's all this weirdness going on. We want to date this person, but it's weird. We want to have romance in our relationship, but it's going weird. We got weird conflicts with our children if we have children. Not sure about the direction of our business. Something needs to be recalibrated. But remember, Mars is you. So my Aries, Sun, Moon, and Risings, this aspect, this transit's going to affect you. Mars being retrograde, still being in shadow is going to affect you more. Doesn't mean everything is bad. Just means there's more energy going on in your life that's like, how am I creatively expressing myself and what needs to be changed around that? Especially since late November, having that theme go on is like, how do I need to change my life, how it's arranged, my goals, my physical body, what I physically do with myself to have the fifth house experience that I want. So that could be one of many things, including but not limited to the sex that you want. But it could also be to have the creative self-expression that I want. How do I change my habits or my life or my focus so that I'm using my life force energy in a way that is birthing into being the things that I want to birth into being. Okay, so maybe some Aries have been having to think this over recently. Now, Mars also rules your eighth house. So if you are someone who sells things to people one-on-one, if you're someone who works with taxes or money, like money in your job, just like taxes, markets, finance, interest, things like that, well, then this is going to be that. And it's a time of kind of reassessing how you do that area of life. So this can be income from self-employment. This can be, this can also be, again, like your partner's money. If you're in a relationship that you've been kind of going through and it's like, okay, this is changing direction. Maybe it's not clear exactly where it's headed, but now it should be having a little more momentum. And then Mars makes the aspect to Pluto and says, oh, you want to have trust in your relationship. You're going to have to really go through something difficult or go through some kind of situation that puts pressure on you in order to have that trust. Oh, you want intimacy? You want closeness? Maybe Pluto's blocking that intimacy and it's causing frustration. Maybe, again, there's like you learn things about a partner that you didn't know before, especially their money. For Aries who are single, that eighth house, and also coupled Aries as well, that eighth house can also be your intuition, your psychic ability. So Mars opposite Pluto could be an intensification of that. Although, I don't feel like that's quite it. Why? Because intuition is a very subtle energy. Mars Pluto is a very visceral feeling in your body, kind of animalistic energy of like, it does have an animalistic side of like just mowing down your food when no one's looking, or like, just having that sort of, I I don't know other way to say it besides animalistic, where you like to give into your instincts sometimes. And this is you. So Pluto can either be intensifying the desires, where it's like you just really want certain things right now that are like carnal and of the flesh. I don't know how else to say that. But then it could also be the opposite, where it's like intimacy is blocked right now. Your partner is overseas, or other things like that, where it's like the closeness you normally have and the trust you normally have isn't there. And maybe for some Aries, that's what we're dealing with. Feel free to let me know in a comment if one of these is more accurate for you. But that feeling of like, I have to do this myself. The psychic work I normally do, it's almost like, okay, that the metaphor I get here is like Aries just pulling tarot cards and they're not giving the answer and they start to troll you. Anyone have that happen? And you're like, fine, I'll do it myself. Okay, but the interesting thing here is that this is also a T-square with the sun. Okay, so we have Pluto in Aquarius, Mars in Leo, Sun in Taurus right now. And then, the 25th is the sun will be at 5 degrees. And it's still going to be that T-square of really all of us getting stuck between our desire, like what we want and what we're capable of, and trying to figure out if those aren't exactly the same, what needs to happen, what adjustments need to be made. And for some Aries, because the sun is the apex of the T-square and it's in the money house, the way to deal with this is like, what can we financially do and what can we risk? What can we risk? Maybe we can't risk very much. I don't know. I'm not advocating risks that people can't take, but Taurus Scorpio is like security versus risk. Do we want our security? Do we want to take a risk? And which of these planets is going to win? And it's not even win. It's more like, for some Aries, the way through this is to take what is comfortable and secure and we've developed and we've gathered trust-wise, and risk what we can. I almost feel like maybe another metaphor, keep in mind they're metaphors, is like, I was just listening to Alex Hormozzi's story about how he did gym lunch and then he had to pay someone all but $1,000 of his money, and then everything else was on his credit card. I'm not saying Aries should go do this, but you might have a little moment like this where in order to proceed, you have to take a certain element of risk, or you have to choose to be comfortable, but you can't do both. So Aries might be in some kind of pressure cooker, and those are the energies involved. So keep in mind, though, that by May 1st, Mars will be out of shadow then, and that's when whatever this is might have a little bit of a resolution. We might find our footing again, and then once we've gone through this pressure cooker moment, that's, the way to work with Mars Pluto is not to back down. It's to call on the deepest, most powerful, animalistic part of yourself and be like, roar, I'm going, and that was not a very strong roar. Sorry, I'm not a roarer, but it's like you're howling at the moon, if it makes sense. It's like you pull from inside of you the power, all the power you can muster, and power through something. Okay, so that's my light positive message. For Aries, keep in mind there's other energies at play. If you want more of like a flowy, soft energy reading, go back to some of my other videos on like the latest lives or something. or do like Neptune through the houses, because those are going to give you more of that like softer, peaceful vibe. This transit isn't a soft, peaceful vibe. It doesn't mean we're screwed, but it's like, for Aries, this is your security versus your desire to be seen and express yourself versus your desire to be behind the scenes and be outside of the group. And so, You cannot be connected and engaged and also disconnected at the same time. So some of you also may have some themes here of connection and being engaged with life and throwing yourself into something and then disconnecting from it or removing yourself from it in a way so that for some whatever reason you go behind the scenes and you don't have to be like on all the time. Okay, there's probably, I mean, I could go on and on forever, but we're going to stop there for Aries. Okay, going now to our Tauruses. For Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising, we have Mars in the 4th opposite Pluto in the 10th. Now, Pluto just entered your 10th house back in, oh geez, why don't I remember? Last year. And I'm totally blanking when. But it's been there all year this year, 2025. And it's saying, let's get real with our career. Let's be authentic. Let's purge of everything that's inauthentic in our life path, and that's usually our work. So it doesn't mean you're going to change jobs when the transit happens. It just means that you're going to be very aware of ways that your work, your job, your role in life forces a version of you that doesn't feel aligned or doesn't feel authentic. Now, Mars opposite Pluto in the 10th and the 4th kind of speaks to a lack of work-life balance, or even just a time where you might just be like going to work, putting your whole heart into it. It's requiring a lot from you. And then you go home and you do the same thing because something at home or something in your private time is also requiring a lot from you. So that could be a good thing. But like just Mars in the 4th is like you're busy at home. You're doing more chores. You're getting more stuff done. There's more activity. And so those two things can be happening, and it doesn't have to be a super stress point. It can just be like you're stretched time-wise and you have all this work to be done, and then you can't do the DIY project. You have to finish the organization you wanted to do later, or you're just doing so much, like you're going to work doing it all, going home doing it all, and just wiped. Now the Sun here makes a T-square to Mars and Pluto, and the Sun in the 1st is like going to bring attention to you and the role you're playing in life, just you, right? Your personality, your identity. And it doesn't mean you're thinking about this. It just sometimes Sun in the 1st is like you're doing more, you're being seen more, you're making more first impressions, you're having more experiences like that. And so Sun Pluto square like this kind of feels like we want to go a certain way, but our energy isn't getting put on that, or we have to reconcile. What is the goal here? Is our goal financial security? And are we working on attention? And it's like we're getting attention, but we're not making money, or something along those lines where the Taurus desire to go slow and steady, and the Leo desire to be like that fiery nature of like, let's do it right now, are not really meeting very well. There's an adjustment here with our process. So we might have to go slower than we want to right now. And that might just be what's making this feel so challenging. Some Taurus out there, your goal might be fine and aligned and everything, but it's just putting you through a test. If you are being tested with your work or life goals right now, or even things related to your physical body or your family life, okay, or your family life or your stress levels, or your spiritual life or your relationships, right? Because Mars rules your 12th house of isolation, your spiritual life, your psychology, your self-sabotage. Now, this could be a time for Tauruses where you really can see clearly how you have acted against your own best interests. We all do it sometimes. We all have a 12th house. But not everyone's 12th house ruler is getting opposed by Pluto while it's on its way out of shadow. Okay, so this is like a possibly big moment for Taurus to have, if you want to work with these energies, some insight around how have you been subconsciously holding yourself back, and what do you need to jump into or just wholeheartedly devote yourself to in order to proceed. And look, Mars is also trine Neptune. So it's like, what are we inspired by? What vision are we inspired by that we're coming up against a wall because maybe we don't know how to be the version of ourselves that can achieve that? Now, what does it mean in relationships for Taurus? Well, maybe we have a relationship that's testing our limits, that's putting us through stress, where we're like frustrated with someone, or remember that doesn't have to be a love partner. The seventh house, if you're not in a relationship, is just other people. So other people are stressing out Taurus, or Taurus is other people, the people you know, are Mars Pluto like. Worst case scenario, this could be someone in a relationship or someone you know at work, or a boss lying about you and like doing something underhanded. So if you're working with authority, especially right now, Sun Pluto is authority. That's one of the key words. You want to make sure they're really on the up and up, and that what they're telling you is true. Like, I'm not trying to scare anyone, but like sometimes you even know. Sometimes it'll be straight up. They'll be like, you could never do this without me, right? So it could be like that, where it's super obvious that they're on a power trip and you're just dealing with it. But there might be something also for Taurus to step up to, an authority of your own that you need to step up to, especially in career. That's like, okay, I am ready to be this higher version of myself. I'm ready. What am I capable of? What can I accomplish? And maybe the question for Taurus, the question for all of us, but for Taurus, especially on this one, is how have I been holding myself back from what I'm capable of? And what am I willing to pass through to get through this threshold and see like what is being, like that army slogan, be all that you can be, just popped into my head. But what is being all you can be, Taurus? Maybe you need to see that. Maybe you need to see what you're made of right now. And there's a relationship either at work or just in your life in general that is really testing that. Okay, so with that, we're going to go on to Geminis. Let me know, Taurus, if that resonated. Geminis, we have Mars opposite Pluto. Mars in the 3rd, Pluto in the 9th, Sun in the 12th. So we have you're maybe being tested here. But what is it about? Well, it's about your local environment. So this could actually be like a sibling or someone you work with who's being kind of nasty or being kind of unscrupulous. I don't know how else to say it. Like just shady, right? A shady person you have to deal with in your environment. But let me tap in to see. I think it's going to go deeper than that, because the 3rd house also rules our mind. Okay, so Mars in the 3rd is like, maybe you are, and opposite Pluto in the 9th. 9th is beliefs. 3rd is thoughts. Okay, your beliefs and your thoughts are in a conflict right now. You have this higher ideal, but your thoughts aren't matched, or like you believe in being all spiritual, but you're pissed off and you're cussing. You know what I mean? Like your beliefs and your thoughts are not like totally lining up here. But also Pluto in the 9th can also be like a real desire to really put your energy toward heaven and life after death and what matters and why we're all here. And the 3rd house is a little more of a day-to-day going to get where you go every day. So you go to get groceries, you go to grab food somewhere, you go to get gas, you run around your neighborhood and accomplish shit. And these two are not in agreement. What could that mean? It could mean that you're stretched and you want to do all the higher knowledge prayer stuff and travel stuff, but it's like you want to travel and be in your immediate environment. You want to be up in the heavens with God, but you want to be down here on earth at the same time, and you can't do both. So this might be less meditation time to get some shit done, Mars in the third being busy or having to really manage your time or just fitting a lot into your day. And then the sun here also matters. But Mars also rules your 11th house of community. Okay, community being aspected to Pluto also kind of does feel like maybe there's something about your dynamics and friendship right now that are not going so great. Maybe you're learning some things about some people that are really like, I don't know, just a little bit, again, shady or ulterior motives or something. But let's go back to what this means about you, because the sun square Mars in general with Pluto, it's like there's a challenge between our confidence level, what we want is the sun. How we want to go about getting it is Mars. And Pluto's kind of makes it way more intense, way more maybe buried. Maybe you have to unearth it, right? So you have to unearth what you want and how to go get it. Why? Because what you desire and how to go get it, they're not in sync right now. They're in a square. So you might not be realizing, okay, everyone, but Gemini might be realizing how your path toward what you want is actually not as useful, or you might be seeing the limits up until now of how you have tried to accomplish a certain goal, especially a goal that's related to community, social media audience, your hopes and dreams, or even just your work life, your time and your schedule and how you spend your time. So Geminis might be realizing the way you spend your time is counterproductive to what you want, or you might just be more able to see that. So for Geminis, this is what I would do with this transit. I would do a time audit. I would audit my time. I would look at how I spend my time. I would write down, what do I want to accomplish right now? And I would write down, how am I spending my time? And then I would identify, and some of you, you're like, oh yeah, that doesn't match. Now, if you're like, no, everything's good with that, then maybe don't do this exercise. But I think that this would be the productive use of this transit, is to really take a deeper look, and it might just lead you here anyway, but take a deeper look at how are you spending your time? Is it getting you to where you want to be? It kind of reminds me of someone who, I don't know, it's like, I'm not even getting a metaphor here. Like, okay, like someone who wants to have a cake baking business and they get a job at a bakery. That job at that bakery is only going to teach you so much about cakes before you have to do something else to get the skills for the business. So like, this is, I feel like that's not the best example, but the point is, you might not be doing what you need to do to get the results you want. But what do you really want? You might have to really think about that, because the sun is in the 12th in this. And so it's like, it's illuminating subconscious fears and feelings of self-doubt, or feelings of like ways that you self-sabotage. Doesn't mean you're going to go self-sabotage, but you might be more aware of those dynamics. And this transit might be used to see like how you self-sabotage based on how you spend your time. Where are you like wasting time? Where are you like putting your energy into stuff that's like going against what you actually want? That's really what I'm trying to say. There's a bunch of other good transits going on, but this Mars-Pluto one is no joke. And it's like the only way through the Mars-Pluto is to, you're not supposed to just give up. You know, you're supposed to call on your inner power and harness it, and like find out you can do more than you thought you could. So if you're stretched to your limit time-wise, or with what you can do in a day, or even with like that 9th house of studying and learning and beliefs and intuition, then this is actually the time to kind of like go deeper into that situation and find a resolution. So let me know, Geminis, if that made sense. We're going to go on now to Cancer. And if it didn't for some reason, just check your sun, moon, and rising and see which one relates the most. Okay, so on to Cancer. Let me get our little thing here. Okay, this reading is intense. Are you guys feeling how intense it is? It's okay because it's Mars Pluto. It's an intense transit, but I feel it. Okay. For Cancers, Mars Pluto, Mars in the second, Pluto in the eighth, Sun in the 11th. Mars in the second, usually you're busy making money, you're going to do more, or you're busy spending it. Sometimes you're busy spending it. Mars for you rules your 10th house of career. It's in the second house, which means there's focus right now on your work bringing you money. It could be that your work is bringing you more money, but sometimes if it's Mars, it's like, and you're spending it. Because Mars might actually be more, it stimulates the area it's in. So the second house is your money and your stuff. So Mars in the second could actually also be Cancers going through their things, getting rid of stuff. Mars in the second, Mars severs, right? So you might be cutting some money out of your life. Why? Maybe because you needed to do a new budget. Maybe because you realize you overspent. So now you're cutting off all these subscriptions. Maybe you are loaning someone some money and you're like, okay, now I have less because I just cut that money out of my wallet. You know what I mean? There's a bunch of different ways we could think of that. But overall, this is also going to relate to your career and your public image because that's what Mars rules for you, your career and your fifth house of fun and life force energy, self-expression. So Pluto being here can intensify these areas where maybe at work, in your role, especially, you're having to step up to a much higher level of authority. And maybe there's a lot of pressure around like Sun square Pluto, feeling like you could do it better than the authority can and needing to step up, but not always being able to, having to work through some stress and tension, right? And then Mars being ruling the fifth house of creativity, if you're self-employed, this might be a time where you have to change something, right? Because like this is a fixed T-square, which means we don't want to change, but we need to. But because it's fixed, we really especially don't want to. That's the definition of a fixed square is that there's a more of a need to change, but the person has the hardest time seeing the need to change. So what do we need to change related to our, either if you're not self-employed, ignore that. But if you're self-employed, how that works, how the process of getting clients or getting money from people is working. Maybe it's not working. Now, if you're not self-employed, this is your creativity, your life force energy, or your dating life. And it can be, if you're a Cancer who's actively dating right now, it's that, okay? It's that. And it's like trust issues with intimacy, or like having a partner, let me see. Partners, especially like maybe one Cancer out there has a partner who's giving you money and then wants you to owe them. And is that playing all these power games? That could be a real thing, okay? Because the crazy thing is Mars and Pluto both rule Scorpio, right? One in the traditional and one in the modern system. So it's like your relationship life is, or your dating life, or your sex life, or your self-employment, or your children, that area of life is pulling you into totally opposite directions. Safety and security, or risk and sharing. And you maybe can't do both. And then the Sun's over here going, hey, this is what I want. It's neither one of those things, right? The Sun in the 11th is like, I want security in my community. And Mars in the second's like, no, I just want to make money and be noticed and be recognized. And then Pluto in the 8th is like, well, we want to help everyone. We want to help make the world a better place no matter what it takes. And then these three are like, how are we going to make this work? So especially considering the Sun also rules your money. So money squaring work in the money house. Sometimes that would actually still be a money transit. Why? Because there is a connection. But it's so this could be for some Cancers, like you're working a hell of a lot of overtime and you get paid for it. Yay. Right? For others, maybe you make a certain amount of money and then you spend it all and you're upset. Or you're working really hard for your money and it comes in, but you're working really hard. So it can be any of these things. So where is the key to relieving some of the tension of this T-square is the fifth house of pleasure. I know it seems like it seems like a curveball based on the energy of this reading so far, but maybe Cancer need to go take a load off and do something they enjoy to get their mind off of this stressful situation. Maybe that's going to decompress it a little bit, because it feels like with the sun in the 11th, there could also be an element here of how do I give everybody else what they want? How do I make sure the community gets supported or other people get supported while I also have what I need to be secure financially and that my stuff is taken care of, but also there's something else going on here that's a little more, like it's more intense than that. Yeah, like what I have versus what I want the community to have. Those aren't like, there's some kind of challenge here. Okay, so I think, again, for some Cancers, you're working overtime, you're doing a lot, you're putting in a lot, da 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 da. But there's another layer here, and that's Neptune trining Mars, which is saying we don't want to do anything unless we're inspired by the vision. But Pluto's over here saying get back out of that vision and get into get your hands dirty. Like get your hands dirty to make your vision happen. Let me know, Cancers, if that resonates. And then once you've gotten your hands dirty to make your vision happen and you've put in everything on the table, then relax and do something you enjoy. That's what I think this is saying for you guys. Again, let me know if it resonates, and we're going on to Leos. Thank you, Edgar. Okay, so getting it on to the Leos. Here we go, Leos, for Mars opposite Pluto. Mars in Leo opposite Pluto in the 7th. Mars in the 1st, the Sun in the 10th. Very much a transit about, do you be you? Like it's me, is it my life or yours? My life direction or yours? Are we gonna do what I want to do or what you want to do? And for some Leos, this might be a job thing where it's like, I want to live in this state, but I'm getting a job offer in a different state. And that job offer would let me go the direction I want to go, but it's not letting me do it in the way that I want to do it. There's a challenge or something that has to be worked out here between what the Leo person wants in your career and your public image versus how you want to go about getting it. It's like the way you want to get it, maybe you can't get it that way. So you got to figure out, do you change what you want in your career and your public image, or do you change the path to get it? The path to get it feels like it's going to take everything out of you. And to me, this actually feels more like just align with, if this feels like do what it takes. Leo needs to do what it takes. And you might not really have all the energy going for you to really fully do what it takes until May 1st. But if you are looking at something that's like, I don't know how I can do all this, I don't know how I can manage my relationship and my career, Leo is supposed to figure out how to do what it takes to do both, even though they're both stretching you in totally different directions. It kind of makes me feel like you're fighting with your boss and your wife or your significant other at the same time. It doesn't have to be wife, but where it's like, it's just stretching you. So now let's consider Mars more specifically. Mars rules family. So family could be putting some pressure on you to be really busy and accomplish something. Now that might actually be bringing out the best in you, because you might be like, okay, I'm going to step up and lead this thing with pride because my family needs me. So some of you might have that. If you don't have family going on and you're watching this, then that 4th house energy can actually be your own emotional foundation and your own feelings, where Pluto is intensifying the hell out of your feelings and making you, what would Pluto opposite the 4th ruler do? It would make you just bring up intense energies in general that are maybe more conflicting in nature, you know, like arguing with yourself about how to do something. Because the fourth house brings in this idea of belonging and comfort, but it's like what you're dealing with might not have space for that. And also, you know, if I just saw this in the chart of a person, Sun in Taurus in the 10th, Mars and Leo in the first, I would think this is a very ambitious person because it's like the Sun in the 10th wants to achieve, and Mars in the first will support that mission. You'll be doing shit. But the fact that the fourth house is the place where this would balance it out makes me feel like for Leos, maybe it's not about the stress and the pressure of stepping up to the role you want to have. That all feels like you're just going to do it. You're just going to do it, Leo. But maybe the way to really go deeper on this is to, yes, fulfill what you got to fulfill, do what you got to do. Consider, do you have a place where you belong? Do you have a place where you can be understood? Do you have support? Do you need more support? Do you need to meet like-minded people? Because the stress and the pressure is like, I don't know, I get the feeling of this Leo, whoever this is or whoever, whatever, whoever's watching this. We're like you're the one with the image. You're the one leading others, but who's leading you, Leo? Who's leading you? Do you need a support group? Do you need buddies who do the same shit you do? Do you need work friends? Do you need a business bestie? I feel like that might be what's missing here, but it's not going to call your attention to it because there aren't planets here. This is if the role you're stepping up to is putting a lot of pressure on you. The way to move through this for Leos is not to stop and say, no, I can't do that. It's to say yes and then get the support you need to support you, whatever that is, right? So if it's like, it might be for some people a counseling type of a thing, but it doesn't even feel like that for me. It feels like a mastermindy type of thing. It feels like meeting people kind of like you, even if they're not the same as you, and just getting some kind of connection to other people who are kind of trying to reach similar or same goals. Okay, Leos, let me know if that resonated. Going on to Virgos. Okay, I want to see this, what NC says. Oh my God, you're so right. I got my dream job right now, psych for New York State. I've been waiting. New York City is so expensive. I don't want to pay just to live. I want to move. Okay. Job offer. Okay. Yep. Okay. Sometimes they are like that. O'Hara, I hope that was accurate for you. Now let's go on to our Virgos. Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. We've got Mars. Where's Mars? Oh, over there. I couldn't find it. Mars and Leo in the 12th, opposite Pluto in Aquarius in the 6th. Pluto in the 6th has been bringing your attention to what needs to be more authentic when it comes to how you spend your time, the work that you do. If you're doing work that's not aligned, you're really going to feel it right now. It doesn't mean you have to stop doing that right now, but that might be a little bit of a pain point right now. A little bit of an agitator is if you're at a dead end job that has no future for you, or you're just not happy in your work, it's not permanent. Pluto's really going to keep going, hey, what are we doing here? And reminding you that this is not authentic. This isn't the right thing. Now, if you are doing more authentic work, sometimes Pluto can, you're in the right job and stuff. Sometimes Pluto in the 6th can make you change the way you spend your time. It can make you more want to do self-development more too. That's not really a bad thing. Mars, ruling your 8th house and your 3rd house. 3rd house can be neighbors, people you're around. Okay, so think about Virgo, and I'm a Virgo rising. I can tell you some of the things that are happening here since about November, December. You might be around shady people more than normal. And because it's in the 12th house, though, it's like there's like this hidden, the people you're around from day to day in your environment, they're like secretly working against you. That could be one way. Don't get all scared. Okay. Just think if that makes sense. Okay. Just think if it makes sense. Mars here can also be that 8th house. Now, this could be your psychic ability and just wanting to be more into psychology and go into all the deeper things and having that really ramp up to an extreme degree right now, where all you want to do is get into. I am going to talk about myself in this one. I just bought like 2 books on the Gene Keys, and I went back to what my human design is and like dug into that the last couple days, just like obsessed. And that's pretty much what one way this could play out. So if you're, or like buying your favorite psychology book or things that are more psychological in nature, spiritual in nature, trying to figure yourself out, Mars in the 12th will have you wanting to figure yourself out because that's kind of what it does. But it's your 8th house ruler. So it's really, you really want to figure yourself out. And Neptune there, it's easy to kind of stay in the ocean of your subconscious mind and want to think about it and maybe not be the most clear or direct to the point, but just like kind of like you're floating in the raft of your subconscious mind and you don't really need to turn the motor on and go toward a destination. Okay, so if that's you, that's fine. You're just going with this transit. Now, what else could be going on? Mars Pluto could be intensifying a 3rd house thing or an 8th house thing. 3rd house thing are neighbors, people in your local environment. It can even be people you work with and stuff. People you just see wherever you go day to day can become more intense. So that can just be more intense conflict, more intense undercurrents that people aren't discussing that you just know what's going on. Like someone lying to your face and they're lying more and more and more. Or Mars Pluto does have this sort of unearthing energy, right? So Pluto's going to unearth what Mars has been hiding. And for Virgo rising, sun or moon or rising, Mars is for the 3rd house ruler is like your neighbors, your roommates, the dude you talk to at the gas station all the time or whatever. I mean, you don't have to talk to dudes at gas stations, but just think of your day-to-day, what you do, the people that you see wherever you go. Maybe it's the lady at Whole Foods, right? Maybe it's like the crystal shop you go to once a week. Whatever it is, maybe there's going to be something revealed about one of those people. Maybe there's a secret revealed. I don't feel like this is like an existential crisis when it comes to the 3rd house stuff. If you are a writer, maybe Mars Pluto will unearth something you've wanted to write and you'll start writing about it. If you're not a writer, that doesn't apply to you, so don't worry about it. Or if you want to speak, like you're on a podcast or you want to do meditations or you've wanted to speak about something, 3rd house, well, then maybe Pluto's going to unearth that thing and like help you connect to the vision, Neptune trine, of what you want to say. That might be what you want to say on a podcast, what you want to do on your, I don't know what else people do when they want to say stuff. A conversation you want to have that you're like, oh, I imagine it going this way. I imagine being able to explain this or this or this. And Pluto being like, okay, it's almost like that thing is in a box and Pluto's going to unbury the treasure. So how can Virgo work with this for the 3rd house? Is like, connect with and journal on or think about or meditate on. Just give yourself some time to contemplate what you would like to write or what you would like to say or what you would like to communicate in general. Now for the 8th house stuff, maybe we're talking more about trust with other people and having it be stressed. Maybe someone you trust, you learn something about a situation. Okay, maybe intimacy would be, the 8th house is like the people you're closest to. Maybe one of them is going through something. If you're a Virgo who's in a relationship, Maybe your partner has a hit to their finances, or they're under extreme pressure to make money right now, or they're under a lot of financial pressure. Overall though, we gotta go back to the basics of the eighth house of transformation. And being the planet of transformation is trine Neptune, which means it is easier. You can be more pliable and more yielding and more open to transform than normal. And I gotta say, Virgos, I am you, so I love you. And we, because we have Aries on the 8th, we don't fucking want anyone telling us how to change. We do not want people up in our business. We want it to be our idea how we're going to transform. But with Neptune here, it makes us a little bit more yielding. So that might work in a positive where it brings a little bit more balance to an area of life where we tend to be more like we're the Aries in the 8th house. So it's like, I'm changing, excuse me, I will initiate that myself and you will not. There's no room for you to speak on this. Thank you. But then Pluto comes along and is like, oh, you want to change? Let's go all the way. Let's face the deepest fear you can and see if you are strong enough to look at it. So it doesn't have to be some external thing taking you through the mud right now, Virgo. It could be you initiating a deep dive into a subconscious topic that would maybe be, you'd have to really, really call upon the deepest level of your power to have the courage to say, okay, yeah, I'm ready to face this demon. And it might not be that serious. I mean, it might, but it might not be. Okay, so especially with the South Node in your house, it's like Virgos are ready to let shit go right now. And Mars and Pluto right now are going to bring up the awareness of what needs to get let go. While the 9th house, the sun in the 9th, is on the topic of God and higher knowledge and like the reason why. So now is a really good time, Virgo, everyone, but Virgo, to tap into your why, especially if you're self-employed and you're trying to make self-employment income. Why you want to be your spiritual self and why you go down all these rabbit holes of all the different modalities, the astrology and the everything else. What you want to ultimately accomplish on your path. But then the crazy thing is if this feels out of balance, Virgo, and you start getting really up in the clouds here with the sun in the 9th of like, I want to be on this spiritual path and knowing this deeper, consciousness level and the vibration and the da 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 da. Don't forget to just like wash your feet or do something else that's very mundane, very grounding to balance it out. If you're a Virgo right now and you are doing deep spiritual psychological work, great. And if it gets too much, just do something in every day. Do a grounding meditation. Go for a walk. Do your dishes. Do anything that's very embodied so that it can it can help. It can help you to get the information that's really connected and not go into the rabbit hole where it becomes unproductive. Okay, so let me know if that resonates, Virgo. We're going to go on to Libra. You can also watch your sun, moon, and rising, everybody. Okay, I see a bunch of comments, so I want to read those. Oh, I'm not Leo. Business besties. Yay! Let's see what else. Okay, Ohara, yeah. No fights, yay. I'm happy about that. Whenever I say something challenging and it's not happening, I'm always glad, you guys. I love how you read. Thank you. Your Pops is a Virgo rising, so he has to isolate. Okay. Yeah. Venus in his 7th. O'Hara says Virgo rising resonates more. Okay. Let's go through to what's after Virgo? Libra. Libras. Okay, so for Libra, we have Mars in the 11th, Pluto in the 5th, Sun in the 4th, Sun in the 8th. Let's go. I want to go back a day because we're getting ahead of ourselves here. That's better. Okay. Actually, I'm not going to do that because that was yesterday. Okay. Libras, Mars in the 11th can bring activity to your social life, your community, your friends, the people you're around. Mars rules the 7th house of relationships. Your relationship could bring you into more community-based things. You could be connecting more with your partner's family or whatever, but this could also not be about relationships. Mars is also your money planet. So your money planet being opposed by Pluto with the Sun in the 8th feels more like a money thing. And it does feel like for Libras right now, it might be a thing where you're just stretched financially. You got to make do until the first, you know? But it could also be more of like something bigger than this, where it's like, okay, we have more debt than we have income. How are we going to fix this? Right? It could be something bigger like that. Where it has to do with, you know, money owed versus money coming in. Or, hey, even some of you maybe got a bunch of money and now you're stressing out about where to spend it. Or there's stress on, you know, whether to take a risk financially. That could also be happening. It might not be a lack of money. It might be a stress around, oh my God, what if I waste it, kind of a thing. So if it's money, I do think that the challenge will be you have potential to figure it out by the first, but if it's a more long-term thing, maybe you'll just get clarity by then. And then let's look at the 7th house being other people, because this would be happening since like end of November, early December. End of November is when Mars was opposite Pluto before. So you went through this before at the end of November with your friends or with your money. But this time, this is the second pass. So it's like now we're dealing with this. We're finishing it off, right? This is the finishing off of this layer of Mars opposite Pluto, which means maybe money or relationships are requiring you to look deep within your soul to deal with them. When Pluto is aspecting relationship stuff, sometimes this means you have someone around you who is like, you'll never make it without me. What are you going to do without me? Or they say other things to get into your head and make you feel like they are more powerful than you are. Someone tries to dominate you in some way. I don't like that word, especially because it's like you can dominate a conversation, right? So dominate in the sense of like throw their weight around and control. Okay, control, authority and control are keywords here. But because it's relationship, it's going to be controlling a controlling person that maybe you get to know them. Maybe you just got to know someone really well and that you didn't realize how domineering or controlling they can be until now. And now you're seeing this and you're like, there's a deeper level of intimacy, but there's also power and control dynamics that you didn't know were going to be there. I don't think this is like the positive thing of like, ooh, I want to be dominated. I don't see it like that. But Mars is trining Neptune, helping you see the vision of what you want in relationships while Neptune is in your relationship house. But Neptune doesn't always lend itself to clarity. So while you're like, oh, I want a partner like this, or I want to experience this in my relationships, Mars Pluto is like, okay, but are you going to be the person who you need to be to have that kind of a relationship? If you are if you're a Libra and you want like a bodybuilder and you're not a bodybuilder and you love eating Cheetos, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying it can't ever happen, but But the metaphor here is like, are you in a relationship, or are you desiring something that you yourself are not calling in? Are you calling in what you're desiring? And are you willing to step up to the challenge that, or become the version of yourself you need to be to call in what you want? Do you want an open, connected relationship, but you're keeping secrets? Right? I'm not saying it's that particular thing, but it's like with the sun in the eighth, it's like we want security and trust in other people. We want our relationships to be solid. We want maybe even some passive income or something. And we want to go about it in a Mars in the 11th way by giving everyone else what they want, but we might have to actually stop doing that and figure out what we want and claim it and just go after what we want. Because the opposite of this sun in the eighth is the second house. And the second house is, yes, money and stuff, but what it really is in more of a evolutionary standpoint is like our own plans, our own desires, our own private wishes. So it feels to me, and let me know, Libras, if this resonates, that Libras are coming up against some kind of challenge that your natural way of handling is to just give people what they want and do what other people want to do, or try to please the crowd or something. And the way to overcome that is actually to pull back a little bit of your energy to have time for Libra. Like if your goal is to have a business, then pull back a little bit of your energy and have a 2-hour window of time no one's allowed in. Create some kind of boundary of time, or a boundary of, this is what I'm working on and you don't get to have a say in it. Libras might need a little bit of that going on if that's what's happening, because the 11th house is very social. The 8th house is also very social and very much like, I don't know where I end and you begin. And this is the apex of this T-square that's creating all of this tension and stress. So the way to resolve that is to be like, I'm going to be at my house from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. and I'm not answering calls. I'll talk to you when I'm done. You know, that kind of thing of like getting enough of your own personal privacy or energy going on. Okay, that's what I have for Libras. We're moving on to Scorpios. Oops, I just went a few days instead of hours. Okay. So after Libra comes Scorpio. Okay, so Scorpios. We have Mars in the 10th opposite Pluto in the 4th with the sun in the 7th. So Mars in the 10th can be a time where you're busy in your career, you're busy at work, you're busy. There's energy being put toward your public image, your reputation, accomplishments, because you are Mars. This is you. You're in the 10th house, trying to figure it out, getting a lot of stress put on you, but also figuring it out, stepping up to something. Some Scorpios could have parents who are putting a shitload of pressure on you to achieve something right now, no matter how old you are, or a family member who's controlling you or something. Now, if that's you, you'll know. If you don't relate to that, that's not you. So then what else? Mars in the 10th, busy in career, ambitious, having things you want to accomplish. But, you know, since November, early December, Mars went retrograde in December. Mars was opposite Pluto before November. What work-related accomplishment were you feeling like you couldn't do back then? Or did you have to really work hard on? Now it might be coming back again. It might be the same thing. You might be going back over it. You might just be calling on the same energies, but this time we're moving forward through this, right? We're not going into a retrograde. So there might be a feeling like work-related stuff is speeding up. Life is starting to speed up. Your daily schedule, Aries ruling that sixth house of chores and things you got to do, is, going to be visible. What have you been working on that's now becoming visible, Scorpio? And that visibility, is it helping or hurting? Is it bringing a lot of pressure and stress to have whatever you've been putting your time into be more of the focal point right now? And with the sun over here in the seventh, it's going to shine the light on relationships, but sometimes that's just dynamics with other people. It doesn't have to be a significant other. But it's like we want security in our relationships right now at this very moment. And we're trying to get it through accomplishing something. It's almost like there might be a little disagreement here, though. Do we do what we want for our own personal goal and our ambitions? Or are we going to do what we want to please our partners or to focus on them? And there might be a little bit of I wouldn't say the partner stops you from doing what you want, but what they want is not matching. Like you have to put in a lot of hours at work and the wife or the husband's like, why can't you just stay home? And it's like, it would be so much easier if you just got in agreement with this, but they're not. Right? So that's like one example. But like Pluto in the fourth can also just be family responsibilities that make this harder. So like having a baby at home and then having to go to work is a lot different, right? Than just no baby. So there's some other dynamic within the home probably that is causing an extra level of intensity here. So there's intensity on top of intensity. And you're feeling it because Mars is you. So maybe you're just going through something that requires all your energy. You're just focused on it and you're just like eyes on the prize. Let me go after what I want. Let's do it. And having that courage for some reason for Scorpio, even though this matters a lot, it doesn't feel as hard when I'm tuning into you guys than it did the other signs. So maybe you all are just handling the pressure and tension really well. Yeah, because like when Pluto opposes the planet that rules you, it's kind of like it doesn't really feel like an easy moment, but maybe for some Scorpios, the Pluto influence is making it more psychological and making it more about the diving into a role at work, stepping up to something that requires courage in your job or your public life, and then diving into some psychology book and being so intensely into both of those things. And just like, it could be something like that. Or, instead of a psychology book, it's a significant other or a big major life theme with relationship and family that's taken a lot of energy. And it does feel like for everyone right now, Mars Pluto will take a lot of energy. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad or unproductive. It's time to call on all your resources and all your power to proceed. The stress or tension Scorpios might be feeling right now is not to be taken as a sign to stop. And if anything, if Scorpios have too much emphasis on relationship, wanting to lose yourself in other people, caring about how they feel, putting them first, that's causing stress and tension, it really is a time where going back to, okay, if this person wasn't in my life, what would I be doing? From a standpoint of, let's use this as the jumping off point of what we want to manifest. Instead of starting with, okay, what do they want? How can I build my life around it? It's like, what would I want? And how can I include the other person without becoming what they need me to be? Okay, so I'm going to leave you with that, Scorpio. Let me know if that lands. And we're going to go on to our next sign, which is Sagittarius. Okay, Sagittarius is Mars in the ninth, Pluto in the third. with the sun in the 6th. So Mars in the 9th in Leo is wanting to pursue your spiritual path. I feel like you're on the right path. And Mars rules your 5th house of self-employment, of creativity, of your life force energy. So Sagittarius is maybe, it's not, I mean, life force energy isn't the right word. It's the creative potential you have to make an impact on the world. So that may feel like it went through the freaking ringer since December. Like, what is my impact? Where am I heading? Can I be proud of what I've done so far? What have I created? What have I accomplished? How have I expressed myself in the world? And what does it mean? Right? Okay. So you may have had all these questions. Now you might get out of this sort of figuring it out energy around the 1st when Mars comes out of shadow. But it's almost like now we're at the final test, or now we're at this like final, okay, let's see if you've got it in you to kind of overcome this hurdle so you can make the impact you want to make on the world, regardless of what's happening career-wise, regardless of what's happening with your job. Sun and Taurus in the 6th, we want security in our day-to-day schedule. We may want security. We may get bored, Sagittarius, doing the same shit every day and having it be slow. But we also might be needing to do that same shit so we can make the money and have the security, and have not just the security, but like stability when it comes to our time. But then it's like, this Aries thing. And then Mars did make aspect to Neptune, which can make you feel more inspired and more in touch with the vision of what you want to create in your life, especially on a creative or a spiritual level, wanting to look toward the heavens, right? The 9th house is the house of God. Mars in the house of God is either you're defending your beliefs or against people in your environment, or it can also just be like, wanting to follow a creative path for the purpose of connection to the divine in general. But this feels more like you're pursuing something spiritual, but you have some people in your environment who are just not, like some naysayers, some losers, some people who would put their foot out and trip you on the way up the stairs if they could, so that you fall on purpose. I'm not saying you have to worry about someone literally tripping you, but the metaphor of something or someone in your environment who is actively working to try to stop you from being your spiritual self, or maybe they're accusing you of being a loser because you pray or something. What else can be happening, Sagittarius? Okay, well, let's zoom out a little. The 3rd house and the 9th house are like, this is like God, spirituality, higher knowledge, higher education. This is like you going and taking a shower, or you going to the beach, or you going anywhere in your local environment, right? So it's like 3rd house can actually be more like being embodied, right? And the 9th house is more like facing toward heaven. So Sagittarius might be in a stretch point where they're like, they need to do all the things, but they don't have time to learn all the things about all the spiritual things and do all the prayers and all the meditating, and then come back and do all the worldly things too. Sagittarius might wish they could go to a temple for a few days and you just can't because you have shit to do. It's kind of like that energy. Now, we also want to consider that Scorpio rules your 12th house of self-sabotage, of isolation, of recovery, but also like self-undoing type things. And it's attached to Pluto, so it's like you can really see your own self-sabotaging tendencies here, Sag. But you could also really unearth some key insights that help you see maybe if you have been holding yourself back from something. And I almost feel, just from the chart, I almost feel like some of you are going to detach from something in your local environment and really get a bunch more freedom. Sagittarius might be feeling tied down right now. You might be feeling tied down by what? By, I don't know what. But I do think some Sages between now and May 1st are going to release some dead weight. Going to release something mundane in your everyday life that you do not need. Are going to become untethered by something heavy that's weighing you down. What else do I see here, Sag? I want to go back to Mars as that 5th house ruler of fun. I didn't even talk about fun. What the hell happens when Pluto hits the fun house planet? Well, you realize that you maybe some Sages are become aware of a new layer of sexual pleasure that didn't exist before, or are facing fears related to just pleasure in general and the ability to receive pleasure and the ability to enjoy life. Most Sag risings I've met are not lacking in that department, but this is Sag Sun, this is Sag Moons, and this is all the different aspects, right? So it's like, people with all the different aspects. Some of you might be finding some intense level of like pleasure, but it doesn't even feel like that. Maybe some of you are cutting yourself off from some kind of addiction. That's what feels the most true. And it took me a really long time to get to that. So Sag, if that is you, then I would say think about what happens this Friday. Maybe you'll just want to stop doing something. Maybe it's not like heroin or cocaine. Maybe it's like a screen time, right? Or something else that we would consider like a soft addiction that's not really, maybe wouldn't even be classified as addiction, right? So let's use another word here. How about, let's use the word behaviors. With Pluto Mars, there's a feeling of running into the ground. It's like buried. Pluto's buried. Mars is really intense. Pluto rules the underworld. So maybe Sagittariuses are going to see, Sun in the 6th, habits that run you into the ground, and you're going to become aware. This habit is hurting me. It could be reading too much. You know what I mean? It could be too much screen time. It could be too much anything. But it's like, maybe you're going to free yourself up for your mind. I do see that as a possibility for Sagittarius, to free your mind, is experience more pleasure, be more connected to what do you want in life? And maybe you've been bogged down by something, and maybe it's time for that heaviness to begin to be released. Okay, so going on now to Capricorns. Capricorn, we have I'm sorry, I just got distracted. Capricorns, we have Mars in the 8th, Pluto in the 2nd, Sun in the 5th. So Mars in the 8th, right? Since back in November, this happened before. So Mars ruling your 4th house of home and your 11th house of community, and the 8th house of risk and transformation. Maybe some Capricorns do want to make changes in their home or to their friend groups, but this feels a little bit, the 8th house is a little bit more like a personal transformation of like letting go of something big that you're ready to let go of. And it is in the money houses. So I don't think that means you're going to let go of money. I think it means maybe some Capricorns are going to change the way they see money or think about money or deal with money. Maybe there's a bigger, deeper life lesson going on for Capricorns about how they spend their money, how they Damn it, what am I trying to say? How they feel about their money. That doesn't even feel right. Let me just try this again. Mars in the 8th can be, you can really want to dive into your psychology. You can want to just be really passionate and motivated to figure out what makes you tick, to even to like go into a psychological crisis, not like create one, but maybe one that already happened in the past. Look at it. Look at ways that you're psychologically stressed or just feel frustrated. And like you can want to understand the root cause of your own frustration on a really deep level when Pluto and Mars make a connection like this. Because the 4th house rules your emotional well-being, right? So when your emotional well-being is in the 8th house, that means it's affecting your stress level or it's affecting things a lot. It doesn't have to be bad. It could be that you care a lot about changing how you feel right now. Changing with the 4th house, it's like our emotional foundation. Wanting to resolve things related to your emotional foundation. Mars did trine Neptune recently, so that's like putting you in touch with the vision of how you want to feel and really kind of bringing you this desire of like, I want to feel more in my body. I want to feel more peaceful maybe. And Mars in the 8th is like, oh, but we have all these not peaceful thoughts and feelings. So, and then Pluto's going to intensify that. So it's almost like, I wouldn't say like, I don't want to make this sound really bad because it doesn't feel really bad. It feels more like a lot of awareness around emotional topics, emotional crisis, whether it be yourself or others, right? Sometimes when Mars is in the 8th, it's someone else in your life who's dealing with something and they're coming to you for help. But it's intense. So there's that. Now, Mars also rules your 11th house of community. And it feels like the community you're around might have you in this tug of war between having to give up certain amounts of privacy to connect with them versus wanting to have some of your own privacy. It's like you need to be connecting with people and they're just going to show up and want to talk to you. It's like people will just stop by your house or call you and kind of invade your personal time. But then you're going to have this seesaw of like, you're diving all into an intimate environment with people and then you're diving all into your own private environment. So it's almost like going to a group therapy thing. This is not advice. Going to a group team building activity or something else where it's about getting closer to people in a really kind of intense way. And then going home or going away from that where it's just you're having more privacy or time to do your own thing. And then having the intensity of dealing with both of those energies and kind of going back and forth between the two. Okay, so then the sun here comes in and is like, wait, we want to have fun too. We want to enjoy life too and all the senses and eat all the foods and stuff. But it's almost like there's so much focus on transformation and emotional change that you might not have as much time to actually, what would the 5th house be? If you're an artist, create your art. If you're not, it would be do your normal thing that you do. So while we have this need for courage for Capricorns, either this is going to show up with What risk do you need to take right now? It's like risking some of your money, but keeping some in the bank. It's like going into business with someone, but then having your own money too. And trying to manage it all. So for some Capricorns, this will be more financial because it's in the money houses. And you know, that 11th ruler is the money house too, 11th house. For a lot of Capricorns, it's like we have a desire of how much we want to enjoy life, but the path to get us there is going to involve some risk. But we also need stability amidst the risk, and we can't just risk it all. We can't just go all into risk energy. We have to keep some amount of control. So that's what I think this is about for Capricorns. I'm trying to zoom out. It's a general reading. Risk versus control. Needing to keep control, but needing to surrender. Needing to keep some control, but needing to go all in. And like merge with another human being fully, or go all in and transform something, or go all in and connect with certain feelings about things. But then, oh, now we need to come back and have some control again. I don't think this one is going to hit Capricorns as hard as some of the other signs. But it does feel pretty like it's going to stretch you in these areas of life, whether it be money or whether it be your own boundaries versus boundaries with other people and connection with yourself versus others. Okay, let me know, Capricorns, if that resonated. And we're going to go on to Aquariuses. For Aquariuses, we have Mars in the 7th, opposite Pluto in the 1st, with the Sun in the 4th. Mars in the 7th will bring activity to relationships. Sometimes this is when you fight with your person. They fight with you. You guys get into arguments. That can be a thing. It doesn't have to be, though. Sometimes you're going to be more athletic with your partner. It's going to bring activity to your relationships. Again, if you're not in a committed relationship, it's just other people. Then, okay, so then, let me think what else here. Okay, then we go to Mars ruling Scorpio, which is your 10th house of career. So there might be some things happening with your career that really stretch you to the limits of what you think you're capable of. And you have to call on all your energy to really rise to the occasion. The point here is to rise to the occasion, is not to avoid and shut down. Really do try to see what you're made of. See what you can accomplish. Because there is an issue here. The underlying energy here is about pride in your accomplishments. And maybe the last few months since end of November, there's been an issue of feeling like there's been a question here. Are we proud of our accomplishments? Do we feel like we've achieved what we want to achieve? Are we doing enough? Are we making a big enough impact? Are we making a difference? Are we achieving the outcomes we want in our career and our professional life? But then, or even in our role, like let's say you're an Aquarius who is a stay-at-home mom. Are you achieving as much as you want to achieve as that stay-at-home mom, right? Are you doing the things you want to be doing? And Mars opposite Pluto is like, in order to do the next thing you want to do, you got to have courage. You got to be strong. There'll be some kind of pressure going on here. And it's like, the way to work with this one is like go through the cave, almost go through the portal, go through the experience and see what you're made of. See if you can do it. It doesn't have to be something risky right now. It could just be taking the next step toward the thing that is scary or that's calling to you. Now with the Sun in the 4th, you're going to want to be comfortable, but this almost feels like you've got to embrace the discomfort. Because to me, the Sun in the 4th and the apex of this T-square kind of speaks to some kind of opportunity in life that is in the external world that requires stepping up to something that maybe you have to, pull all your resources to be able to do. But that sun in the fourth will be like, but we want to be or we want to be comfortable. The sun in the fourth wants to belong and wants to be comfortable, wants to shine and wants to be a leader and wants to stand out. In order to bring balance to this, the way to bring balance is to embrace that sun in the 10th energy of standing out. Embrace that energy of shining in your career, in your public life, or in your whatever you do, whatever your role in life is. Aquarius, it's your time to shine, and Mars and Pluto are going to make it more intense. It's like putting it all into a moment where you can step up and rise and be seen. This might not be a big lifetime event. It might just be a little chapter of the year. That's like, think about what was happening at the end of November that was stressing you, or that was something, stressing your career. Now let's briefly talk about the third house being your local environment, and having it be stress kind of means maybe there's a little bit of conflict or something going on with one of your siblings or with your roommates or something. Because that's what I kind of see for that, is like your local environment gets this intensity and stress as well. Now, could it be that, you're commuting? Maybe it's just a commute. Maybe it's something with your car you got to get fixed or something. But something that just adds another dynamic of tension going on. Worst case scenario, you find out your roommate's been lying to you, or something is exposed about a sibling. Best case scenario, maybe a sibling or someone kind of motivates you or gives you some kind of, empowers you to do your best at work or something. Maybe you're getting empowerment from someone. Or maybe the empowerment isn't like, oh, it's so good, they're so helpful. Maybe it's like you have a cousin or a sister or brother or someone who's like, you can't do that. And you're like, yeah, I can. And then you just go do it. It could be like that. But either way, Aquarius, there is really something to step up to in career right now. It's all about, what do you want to accomplish? And are you willing to do what it takes to get it? And it leans toward that you should be saying yes. Mars Pluto kind of leans toward, this really is what you want. There's desire, there's deep desire kind of built into the transit. So that's what I have for Aquarius. Let's go on to Pisces, our last but not least sign. Okay, so Pisces, what do we have here? Let's see. We have, I'm getting to it, I swear. Mars in the 6th opposite Pluto in the 12th with the sun in the 3rd. So Mars in the 6th, you can be busier. It can just kick up the need to get more stuff done. Sometimes the stuff you're doing with Mars in the 6th isn't super important shit. Sometimes it's a little very mundane, detailed tasks like washing the sheets, or like chores, or like washing the sheets, paying the bills, getting the car washed, all the little things that really you don't like. I mean, you got to just get them done. So this might just be a time where you're getting more stuff done. There's more stuff to be getting done, to be gotten done. That's not right. You have more to do right now, Pisces. And a lot of it's like, maybe you're just more motivated to like take your stuff to Goodwill and clean out your closet and organize things. Or maybe something is happening that's going, oh shoot, I can't put this off anymore. I have to deal with this. That could be kind of how it is. Now Mars rules your money in your 9th house. Let's talk about 9th house first. Pluto opposite the 9th ruler will make you feel like you need to deeply dive into your own psychology and spirituality and read all the books and go deep, deep, deep into the occult science and uncover mysteries of the universe. So that one might be quite enjoyable, where you're just like going to a deeper level of what you already know and craving that feeling of deepening your insight, adding layers upon what you already know, diving into new systems or new spiritual topics or old ones that you already know, anything where you're just going deep, deep, deep as you can into spiritual or psychological, mythological or occult studies. And just like, especially on the psychological side here. Now, Pluto might make it go like, because Pluto Mars are in opposition, it's like, okay, so you're going to work, 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 work. And you're getting all these mundane everyday things done and you're spending your time doing stuff. And then you're going to the ocean of your psyche and like just diving into it. Okay. And so that could just be how you're spending your time right now, Pisces. Nothing really wrong with that. Now, when it comes to the financial side of things, Pluto might be putting some stress on your money. And so could it be because you are spending too much on little piddly shit that you don't need? Maybe Mars in the 6 is not helping you. Maybe Mars in the 6 is bringing a need to like fix things or repair things or replace things. And it could be the smallest thing. It could be you need to get new makeup, or you need to get new light bulbs, or you need to get new, food. You need to go grocery shopping and replace not just food, but like replace all your sauces, stuff like that, where you're replacing things and that's causing you to spend money. Okay. Pluto can also just intensify your financial situation. So usually that's going to look like being strapped for cash a little bit. And it doesn't have to be forever. It could just be temporary until the 1st. Or you could be more intensely doing something to make money. You could be more intensely focusing on the topic of your finances and your budget. So that could be like doing an audit of your finances and going through and seeing how much you spent all year, or how much you're making all year versus how much you're spending, or something like that, where it's that intensity is you going deep into the topic of finances, or you going deep into the topic of interest, or learning about loans or something. But it feels a little bit more like it's about your money, and realizing you could be realizing something about your money that you didn't realize. So I think that's good to know for Pisces, because I think that at the end of November, maybe you had a similar energy financially, where you're just like stretched beyond your means, or there's more financial stress going on. But this time what happened differently was Mars was trine Neptune in Aries. So Mars got a dose of inspiration related to finances, and you may have, oh my gosh, I'm going back for you, because I'm going to tell you what day this is. Maybe on the 20th, around the 20th, you may have been like, where'd all my money go? And it was probably you, but just not realizing how you could have I'm fixing it to Pisces again. Like, poof, it's gone. You know what I mean? Like, poof. But then there could also be, since the 20th of April, Pisces feeling more like inspired for a vision of how they want their money to be, inspired to make money in a way that's more easy. Doesn't mean you have the plan in place yet, but the inspiration may have hit, and Pluto might be making you feel like, I really got to figure this out. It might be intensifying that desire to rebalance your finances. I don't think you'll have a plan in place, or even begin to, until the 1st. But you might find that the intensity is kind of ramping up here, and maybe Pluto's working on you in a way. Pluto sometimes works on you. It's hard for me to explain, because when I think of like maybe how the ocean erodes a rock over time, that's not quite the right way Pluto works on you, but it's kind of like that. It's like a forced surrender. Okay. So as much as I don't love that personally, There might be a forced surrender when it comes to finances. It doesn't mean everything crashes down on you, but that you're just like, okay, I'll make money this way then, if that's what I have to do. Okay. But it could go the other way, where there, instead of a forced surrender, it's I'm calling on all of the power within me to accomplish this thing that's really hard, that I don't know how I'm going to do, that will require me to face some fears, because I'm motivated by the problems that I'm aware of in my life right now. You know, you could be feeling motivated by, it doesn't mean like your life has to be so bad, but this could be something like I don't know, like you're at the store and you see someone buying all these expensive things and you can't, and you're like, I'm tired of this problem, right? Or you're like paying your phone bill in pieces and you're like, I do not want to have to call my phone bill again and ask if I can make a half payment, or something else along those lines, where there's some kind of stress or pressure or situation that makes you realize, okay, enough. I have to find out what piece of me I need to use to go forward in a new way, right? So sometimes the surrender that Pluto can have over Mars like this is the surrender of like, the way I've been doing this isn't working and I have to change. That's the challenge with a fixed T-square, is that kind of, you'll be in a situation where you need to change, but you won't always easily see the need to change. It's like a gridlock, because, you know, the nature of fixed energies, it doesn't want to change. It wants to stay the same. But we can't all stay the same with all the things right now with this issue, because it's like the sun in the third is like our desire, our goal of speaking up, or our goal of having our environment be more nice, be more bougie, be more, what is Taurus? High quality shit. You want more high quality shit. You want more high quality things. And maybe even people. Maybe you want to live somewhere more high quality. But Mars in the 6 is like, but look at all these low quality problems we have. I hope I'm not bringing you down, Pisces. And then it's like, okay, so are we going to go for the high quality life, or are we going to solve the low quality problems? It's like Mars in the 6 doesn't, I'm not trying to say how you're stuck like this, but I really want to go into this problem, because when we go into the darkness, then we transmute it and get into the light. Okay, so what's the darkness here? It's solving low quality problems. It's wanting to be a millionaire and making $2 an hour and thinking if you just work harder, you're never going to, you know, that method will not get you there. So it's about figuring out what we need to let go of, that we don't even know we need to let go of. What responsibilities should we be stepping up to? Is it the one that we've been doing since March of 2023? Which is doing a bunch of shit we don't want to do to sacrifice for a better future? Or is there something about how we're solving problems right now that could be more effective? And maybe Pluto is going to help us by putting us in touch with the pain or the consequences of when you solve little problems, you make little money, kind of a thing. Ugh, I'm sorry, Pisces. I really wasn't trying to call you out on this. But maybe this aspect, this transit is saying, Pisces, let's solve bigger problems and make bigger money so we can have the nice wine or the nice essential oils or the nice house in the nice neighborhood with the nice parks or the nice car and the dependable car and the dependable neighborhood and the dependable things. So yeah, I feel like I really called you guys out on this one. So let me think about what's like the highest version here. The highest version of Mars opposite Pluto when Mars rules your money house is being willing to see the need to change to have the financial future you want. Being willing to see ways you maybe, if you're not making as much money than you want to connect it with what you're doing. Be willing to look at that. Be willing to consider new habits, new approaches, new insight, new mindset. And maybe there is, because Saturn is going to leave Pisces soon. It'll come back for a little bit and then leave again, but Saturn's going to leave Pisces soon. And so it could be still coming into a time of making sacrifices for the money you want to make, but there might also be a bit of a release when it comes to the amount of personal responsibility you've had to take on. Maybe life is going to get a little bit less hard in a couple months when Saturn leaves Pisces and then Jupiter trines your sign. So right now it might be about just keeping on and keeping on. But there might be some glimmers of hope and insight that say, Pisces, maybe there's a better approach. Maybe there's a more way you can make more impact. Maybe there's a solution, right? Because the sixth house is problems, but it can also be solutions. Maybe you're going to just solve a bunch of problems. Maybe you're going to go through your life in the next. I'm spending so much time on you guys right now, but it's fine. It just feels like the right thing to do. You guys are always last, so you get a little more time. Through 6/16, maybe from now until 6/16, Pisces are going to be, I just messed it up. Pisces are going to be, let me put it back. June 16th, doing like solving all of your day-to-day problems. This is the problem with my diet. Let me fix it. This is a problem with my organization. Let me fix it. This part of my life is out of order. Let me fix it. My finances, I'm not paying my bills on time. Let me fix it. Maybe you're just going to fix a bunch of shit in the next couple months, and then your life is going to be better. That's the highest version of Mars in the 6th, is get busy doing things that actually improve your life. Because you're going to be busy dealing with stuff. You might as well focus it on the things you want to improve. Do all the chores you want to do. Do all the spring cleaning. Get the car detailed. You know what I mean? So that might be another element of what's going on here. And I'm going to stop there because I just feel like I could talk forever to Pisces. Yeah, we're going to stop there. If you are just jumping on and you're like, what are we doing? We just went through Aries through Pisces on the Mars opposite Pluto energy, which is exact on Friday, April 25th. If you were watching this before then, you are probably already feeling this. Be sure to watch your sun, moon, and rising, because sometimes one will just resonate more than the other. They're general readings, right? So like sometimes you just have a planet in one of those signs that's really getting pinged right now, and that one thing is the thing that's going to jump out at you the most. So also, you can book a private reading using the link in the description if you would like to work with me. I do Zoom calls, help you understand yourself at a deeper level and to make the most of your chart. We are real, we do real astrology. We don't do fake, everything's going to be perfect someday kind of astrology here. This is the real deal. You know, we do a lot of talking about emotional patterns that are in the chart, because sometimes when we go deeply into that stuff and we feel it and we just experience it, it has a resolving effect for a lot of people. At least that's what I found. It has this effect of like not just being seen and understood, but being known at a soul level. And man, I can't tell you how many things astrology has helped me just be off the hook. Like I've had a lot of jobs. I have had a lot of jobs, especially when I was young. And that's a Gemini midheaven thing. And so astrology helps me understand myself without judgment and understand others without judgment, because I can see the energies in a different way. Let me know in a comment if you want to what astrology has helped you with. I would love to hear from you. And I hope you all enjoyed this video. Let me take off the caption for Pisces. And I will see you beautiful souls in the next video. Bye guys.